Hi, my name is Kendall, and I'm 49 years old, and I have had a few near-death experiences. The first experience that I'm just going to talk about today, just one experience that I had, happened. It actually, I didn't go as far as I did with the other experiences. I would call it a transformative or transcendental or near death, but not to the extent of maybe some people. Probably I was caught between two dimensions. So I was 10 years old, and I was getting ready to go to a birthday party, and my mother and I were standing in my room, and I could see her in the reflection. I was standing at the vanity of the dresser, and she was standing behind me, and she had a squirt bottle, and she was trying to braid my hair for the party. I was going to another little girl's party, and she was tugging at my hair, and it was really uncomfortable, and she was pulling back, and I was pulling forward, and she was pulling back, and she was spraying my hair again and twisting my hair, and I pushed against her because I was starting to get very dizzy and lightheaded, and she kind of said, no, let me fix your hair, and then everything began to get staticky. Like my surroundings began to, everything went gray. It was as if I was seeing static on a TV, and I could, every little particle of the atmosphere kind of became separated, and I felt my spirit detach from my body. I could see my mother, and I could see my body kind of slump against her, and I ascended to a place above my mother, and I could watch her, and she began to freak out, and she started to try to revive me, and she squirted me in the face with the squirt bottle, and of course that didn't do any good, and she was pushing against me and shaking me, and she began to scream, and she kept saying, oh God, I've lost her. She's gone. She's dead. Oh my God. And then she started to scream for my father, and she kept screaming, I'm dead. And I remember thinking, here I am. I'm right beside you. Hi, I'm right here. But she couldn't hear me. And I watched her, but then I just went to a place that was above her, and I just watched her. And when she called to my father, I could see everything. I went to this place that was above, and yet my vision could zoom out, and I could see into the sky. I could see down. I could see out over the river. I could see the woods. I could see there were these 3 boats on the river, and the river was maybe like 800 yards from the house. I would say it was that far. And there were 3 boats, and there were kids in the boats, and they were rowing, and they were sculling with the oars, and I could see the boy at the lead, and he was using his megaphone to keep the other kids in unison. And I was with one particular kid, and he was rowing, and all what I saw just for a moment, I saw through his eyes. I saw his arms on the oars, and I saw the expanse of the oar going in and out of the water, and I saw the water dripping off of the oars, and I saw into the water. I saw all the particles of the water. I saw the light filtering into the water, and I saw that just like in the blink of an eye, as they say. And then my father, my mother was calling to my father that I was dead, that she lost me, and my father was in this very far part away of the house in a barn that had been converted into a porch, and he was messing around with his tools. And I remember he looked up. He heard my mother yelling and the distress in her voice, and he turned and he looked up toward the ceiling part, and where he was looking was where I was looking down on him, and he was looking at me, but he was listening, and he couldn't see me, and so then he recognized that she was screaming for him, and he took off through the house. I could see him run through the kitchen and through the living room, through the dining room, and then up the stairs and into the room, and I could see all that at the same time as seeing my mother's frustration. And then he hoisted me over his back and began to carry me down the stairs. They were calling to each other and saying, what are you going to do with her? We're going to take her to the hospital. Let's go get the car, open the door. And they were, he was bringing me down the stairs again. And I could feel the surge of fear. He was able to, he's not a big man, and he was able to just throw me over his shoulder like I was a sack of potatoes, because he was so frightened. And several things happened at once. Somehow they got me outside the house, and the door was open, and I remember watching them put my body in the car, and I thought, I want to go with them, but I'm too big to fit in the car, because my consciousness was so big, like my head was so big, I couldn't fit that all in the car. And I thought, I'll have to ride above them. And and they were so frightened, and there was a voice suddenly that said, you're scaring them. And when the voice said, you're scaring them, I instantly felt how frightened they were, their terror. And when I felt their fear, I instantly went back into my body. And I kept trying to say, I'm here, because I felt myself go back into the heaviness of that body. And I kept trying to say, I'm here, but I was really weak, and I couldn't get my voice to come out. I was still trying to use my brain, or my consciousness, or my telepathic skills, or whatever. When that voice said to me, you're scaring them, he used, it was like a resonance through the mind. It was not a tangible, audible, it was a different kind of resonance, and it was conceptual, I think. And so then I had to try several times to say, I'm here, and then they finally heard me, and they were relieved, and I was disappointed, and because there was so much freedom in that other state of being, and And so then we went to the hospital, and the doctor said, he told us, don't worry about that. That happens. People faint all the time, and I didn't tell them really to the extent of the detail that I had been able to experience what they were experiencing while I was not physically in my body. I didn't really, I gradually told them about that. But the interesting thing was the party that I was going to was for a little girl whose father was a doctor. And my parents had called them before we left the house and said that I was unconscious and that they were taking me to the hospital. And the little girl's father, somehow they were in communication with him, and he had said that probably not, don't worry, she's probably just fainted. And then after my visit at the hospital, they took me to, I wanted to go to the party anyway. I mean, that's how kids are. A birthday party is the most fun thing in the world. And the little girl came over to me and she said, did you faint? And I said, I did. I fainted. And she said, don't worry. I fainted too. Isn't it weird? And I said, yes. Did you feel like you were dead? And she was like, yes. And then we just ran off and joined the party because the adults were so dismissive of the whole thing. Oh, yes. Thank God she just fainted. But it wasn't until later on in my life that I really valued that experience as being a special. I think maybe it was a special experience, and I hope maybe this helps somebody else who's had that an experience and been frightened by it. So anyway, that was just an instance where I experienced a cosmic force. I hope this helps you. Thank you.